The best pet reptiles are often the ones that are really easy to care for, but there are 5 that I bet you can't. These are the top 5 expert level reptiles. My name's Adam, this is Diamond, you're watching Wickens Wicked Reptiles, stick around. Now, I will say most of the popular reptiles you probably wouldn't have issues with. Even if you're someone who's brand new, you probably could take care of a tegu. I don't recommend this. But what I'm saying is the common reptiles that are even for advanced keepers or intermediate keepers could probably be taken care of by someone who just does a bunch of research and is new into reptiles. However, there are some reptiles that I think that you truly do need to have experience in order to facilitate. There are just some reptiles that don't lend themselves to people who aren't experts in their field. These are animals that are just too big, they are too, not aggressive, but have too much of a food response for most people to understand or even read, don't have the right diet and are hard to facilitate. So let's just start it off with number 5. We'll actually expand this. At first I was talking about slug-eating snakes, but you can even include other really uncommon arboreal snakes, such as blunt-headed tree snakes, for example. Slug eaters, usually from Southeast Asia, and then blunt-headed tree snakes from Costa Rica, that part of the world. This is where I've seen them, and that's why I wanted to highlight them. And I've seen on a few import lists recently both of these species, and I'm thinking to myself, they have very specialized diets. Now, slug-eating snakes, for example, these are animals that eat, well, slugs and other soft-bodied animals just like slugs. Where are you going to get these in captivity? That's the main issue, because these animals almost all the time are imported. I've never heard of them being captive bred. Not to say that they're not, I just have never heard that myself. For example, there's a theory that slug-eating snakes, although eating slugs and other things like that, could eat earthworms. I don't know if that's true or not. I've never seen that being tested, but that would make things a heck of a lot easier, considering if you have axolotls, that's pretty easy to take care of, and those ones, they'll eat earthworms and red wigglers and stuff like that. Blunt-headed tree snakes look similar, sort of, kind of. Either way, they're slender-bodied, they are arboreal, they're delicate, they're not really for handling, and they're gonna eat things like lizards. And only lizards. Well, they can eat other things too, but they're not eating rodents is what I'm trying to say. So you're never gonna get them switched on to rodents or rodent parts. You're always gonna have to feed them things like lizards and frogs. Where are you gonna get those? And that's the thing, same thing with slugs. Don't get them from your backyard. There might be parasites inside of them. When you get these animals, you have to bring them into a veterinarian to get them treated so that they don't have a parasite load anymore, because they will come in with one, I almost guarantee it. And also, from what I understand, in captivity, they're really finicky about their water quality. Just really not easy for most people to take care of, and kind of for someone who's really dedicated to this species, not someone who wants a casual pet like a bearded dragon that you can pay attention to, once a day or once every couple days, and you're good to go. We were discussing that most of these animals come with a difficult diet, and so do humans, but you know what makes it really easy? Today's sponsor, Magic Spoon. This year, I decided I'm gonna put more protein in my diet, and Magic Spoon makes it really easy to do that right out of bed. If you like to eat cereal when you wake up and you don't want all the garbage that's included, like tons and tons of sugar, guess what? Magic Spoon doesn't have any of that. 0 total sugars per serving, 4 net carbs per serving, and 13 grams of protein. Not only is it high protein, but it's keto-friendly, gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free, wheat-free, and naturally flavored. So if you take your diet seriously, you can still enjoy cereal. Even if you're too busy to sit down and have a bowl of cereal in the morning, Magic Spoon's got treats. Magic Spoon treats with 1 gram of sugar and 11 to 12 grams of protein per serving. These are always in my bag everywhere I go. At the beach, by the pool, on the one wheel, it doesn't matter. They're always with me just in case I get hungry. Because at 130 calories per serving and only 1 to 2 grams of net carbs in each serving, you can't go wrong. I love all the flavors, and you can too. Just click the link below and get Magic Spoon cereal today. You can build your very own custom box with all the flavors you love and use my code Wickens for $5 off. You can choose from the best-selling cocoa, fruity, frosted, peanut butter, and maple waffle flavors, plus other awesome flavors like honey nut, blueberry, muffin, and birthday cake. Not to mention cinnamon roll and chocolate chip cookie, some of my faves. And don't forget to add the delicious cereal treats to your order too. Not to mention 100% satisfaction guarantee. If you don't like the cereal, they'll refund your money. No questions asked. So click the link below or scan the QR code to get $5 off when you use code Wickens. Go to magicspoon.com/Wickens to get $5 off your order today. Also, if you're Canadian like me or British, they ship to the UK and Canada. Number 4, let's get bigger Nile monitors. Now I could include many monitors in this list, but I think Nile monitors are the ones I want to talk about because they are notoriously, well, bad attitude type lizards. Now these are big lizards, okay? 4 to 7 feet. The editor of this channel, Matt, Mystic Animals, thanks for donating the footage and editing this video. I'm sure you did a great job. The Nile monitor that he has is really no different. Not saying that he's the devil or a demon or anything, but this isn't an animal you can just hand to a child and not have to worry about. Now, is this to say that a Nile monitor couldn't be socialized enough that it'd be okay around a child? No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that, I mean, I always use this as an example. Humans don't grow to 7 feet tall. So maybe there's like 100 in the world that are 7 feet tall. Same thing with Nile monitors, right? If you extrapolate, 100 out of 7 billion or 8 billion or however many we have now in the world, and kind of do that same thing with Nile monitors, you get about the same percentage. So you might get 0.1 of 1% of Nile monitors that can just tame out really, really easily. Now, this is for a few reasons. First of all, just their nature, the way that they are, but most of it is they are a lot of the times imported, so they're coming in, not captive bred. These animals just aren't really worked with as much or as often and doesn't have the same amount of resources as other animals. The thing that you see with Burmese pythons in comparison to African rock pythons, for example, similar animals, but African rock pythons have a bad reputation. The ones that are being bred more and more and have more generations seem to be calming down a lot better. Burmese pythons have been bred in captivity for decades, and it seems like those ones are the biggest snakes that are kind of gentle giants, or the gentlest of the big snakes. So do I think Nile monitors could lose the reputation of being boisterous and cantankerous? Maybe, but not today. These are expert level reptiles. Leave them to the experts like Mads. I don't want one, I'm not getting one, and you probably shouldn't either. Number 3, reticulated pythons. Now, you guys know I love retics. I think they're great, but I have super dwarf reticulated pythons. And as a brief, not going into crazy detail, mainland reticulated pythons, dwarf reticulated pythons, and super dwarfs. Mainlands can get 20 feet plus, sometimes 25 feet. Uncommon, but it can happen. Dwarfs will likely stay somewhere under 15 feet. Now, this is really difficult to say because there are dwarf reticulated pythons that in the same clutch, you get an animal that grows to 18 feet, they're an outlier, and one that stays to 12 feet. So it really depends. And then there's super dwarfs where some of my super dwarfs are only 8 feet, and I've heard of males as small as 6 feet. But again, I've got a female super dwarf, 75% super dwarf, that's 12 feet. So it really depends. The reason they're on the list, although they are great pets, is they're more difficult to read than other species of snake, and just the sheer size and their food drive is insane. The reason that I think these should be left to experts, especially the mainlands. I think super dwarfs, if you really do get a 6 or 8 foot male, you'd probably be okay as a novice. If you really did your research, of course, and you knew what you were doing and you had the resources, you talked to the right people, but in general, I would probably put them in the expert category just because they're big. Anything that's 20 feet, you need someone else around to handle safely, and if you handle this animal, you need to know how to read it. Because an animal like this, well, first of all, reticulated pythons are known for their insane, wild food drive. I'm not talking about the bearded dragon that comes up to the glass and, oh, well, you got, these guys will they will strike first and ask questions later if they think they're getting fed. Now, this isn't to be confused with aggression. They're not being aggressive. They're not trying to bite you for the sake of biting you. They think you're food, I'm an ambush predator. If you are food, I'm asking the questions after it's in my mouth and secured and ready to go. And that's the reason that I put them there even beyond the size factor, is just you're more likely to get bit with one of these if you really don't know how to read snakes very well in comparison to other snakes. Now, with that said, they come in a bunch of morphs. They're beautiful. You can tame them out really well. There's creators out there like the curly-haired keeper where hers act like ball pythons in terms of how calm they are, but it just is one of those things where, as a general rule, I wouldn't put you towards a reticulated python if you're not an expert keeper. Number 2, I don't think we've ever talked about this species before, fly river turtles. This is a weird turtle. Like, of all turtles, this is the alien of the turtles. And the reason is everybody knows what a sea turtle is, right? Sea turtles have the flippers and they're majestic looking and they're in the ocean. And freshwater turtles generally don't have flippers like that. They're going to be seen on land quite often. But what if there is something in between? Well, that's basically what a fly river turtle is, because this is a large freshwater turtle that can stand brackish water. Basically, it's kind of salty, but not quite salt water, which is really unusual. Most turtles, if you put them in brackish water, would not last very long. Not only that, but they have that upturned snout, which makes them really cool, and they have flippers just like a sea turtle, or very similar to a sea turtle. Not many species have sea turtle-like features that are freshwater turtles. Not only that, they're completely aquatic. They're only going to be going on land in order to breed. Most turtles, they will use basking spots, logs, rocks, the shore, things like that, all the time, basically every day to get some heat. Well, when it's warm enough anyway. Fly river turtles, You're not gonna see that. As captives, as pets, they're difficult because, well, you need really big space. These are big turtles. If you put them in a 200-gallon, it would still look too small. So to get something that you're gonna find at, say, a reptile store, a pet store, fish store, aquatic store, really unlikely. Not only that, I mean, a stock tank might work for you, but a pond would probably be better. The problem is they like the water really warm. We're talking 80 to 85, sometimes even warmer. So these are animals that if they don't have the right water temperature, right water conditions, and right diet, meaning most people feed them too much protein, so they're different than most turtles, they're gonna have deformities in their shells, and then they're going to die pretty easily. These are really fragile turtles. In terms of fragility, there's really not many turtles as fragile as fly river turtles. Although they're majestic and beautiful and wonderful, I recommend that experts keep them, and that's basically it. Number one, hardest reptile, most expert level reptile, isn't a reptile at all, it's a classification. Wild caught reptiles. So by classification, I mean group of reptiles. What I mean is reptiles that are brought in to captivity from the wild are just more difficult to take care of than their captive bred counterparts. And the reason is they come in dehydrated, full of parasites most of the time. They've had a rough travel. Usually they're boxed up with a bunch of other animals. There may have been fighting. You see issues with wild caughts. I've had my own issues. I did a whole video right here about why I regret getting these wild caughts and why I'm kind of done. But in my opinion, even if it's something, let's say crocodile skinks, right? You want a crocodile skink, amazing animals. They're most easily found from the wild, brought in, because there's not really too many laws prohibiting that from happening. So you can buy them for 200 or 250 bucks, 175 if you get a good deal, but the chances that they're going to live very long is pretty slim. So instead, buy something captive. Now this animal might be 2 or 3 times the price. However, in my experience and from people I know, every 5 red-eyed crocodile skinks that you buy, 1 will survive if you don't take them to the vet properly, and even if you do, you'll still have high mortality rate. So you're really saving money in the long term getting something that is captive because it doesn't have those issues like wild caughts. And this goes with other species too, just using them as an example. I don't know why you're so wiggly today. Why are you so wiggly? I just gave him a bath. He dunked himself in water and then he rolled around and you don't need to bathe bearded dragons, by the way, basically ever. This was the only time I've ever bathed a bearded dragon, and I've had them for like 13 years. Anyway, those are the top 5 expert level reptiles. Let me know in the comments section, are you a reptile expert, and what reptiles do you keep that fit into that realm? Let me know in the comments section. Please hit like and subscribe. As always, a special thanks to the Patreon supporters. You guys get videos early, discounts on merch. You got the one-on-ones. I love the one-on-ones. These are so much fun. All that for as little as $1 a month. Because I do videos twice a week. That means I'll see you in the next one.